The one thing they're not going to teach you at the magnificent GIBS is how to actually get a job. Yeah, they're giving you the skills, they're giving you the sort of the background, all of that important stuff, but if you don't know how to manage yourself in the process of the job application and going through an interview with an interrogator, well, you're not going to get that job, are you? Xavier Leroy is from Egon Zehnder, and he's looking for some talent. He's a headhunter, he's looking for people like you, but he's got some tricks up his sleeve. How do you identify who's really good and who isn't?
Well, Bruce, good question. 80% of the jobs are actually found by your own network. So they never go through us. They never go through classified ads. They're actually your own network. And it works as from a truck driver perspective to a CEO. So the market we really work in is the 20% where you need to have a disciplined process.
20% of people who have no friends.
Well, no friends in a good position.
Yes, okay.
That helps. So first of all, you need to advertise yourself, right? You need to write a resume. And then you need to talk about yourself. And that's very few people manage to do.
Has the resume changed? I mean, the last time I wrote a resume, there was parchment and I think there were feathers at the end of a quill. It's been a while. That skill, of course, evolves over time, doesn't it?
Yes, it has changed. Now, resumes all look pretty much the same. They're a one-pager. I don't know if it's Harvard Business School who trained everyone to write the same type of resumes, but they're on one page and you have the degrees at the bottom and the experience towards the top and the address, etc. I prefer 2 pages. I prefer as detailed as possible. I prefer that candidates detail their achievements in as much, again, detail as possible. Numbers, the before, the after, what they've accomplished, with whom. That really interests me.
Assuming that I get through to the next stage, the interrogation part, has that evolved much?
Yes, it has.
Because it's become a bit more psychological.
Yes, a little bit more psychological, but really it's a discipline. It's interviewing for a mandate, for a job, is a discipline that is not being trained enough, certainly not in business schools, unfortunately, because people decisions are important. Again, just on the part, it's better to have an average strategy in a great leader than a great strategy in a very poor leader. So interviewing is really about how people have accomplished what they say they're accomplished. It's the how. So with whom, what did they have in mind at the beginning, and how, what they pushed for, what obstacles they went around, and it's not too much the end result. It's not the what, it's the how. And actually, I'd say 90% of people think they're great interviewers. Well, I think 75% of engineers think they're above average engineers as well. So it's hard to say.
Absolutely, but the skill of the interview is extracting what's not on the bits of paper.
Correct.
Anybody can write anything on a bit of paper.
Absolutely.
But unless you can draw out character, which
Correct.
is considerably more crucial than lots of other stuff in the work environment.
Absolutely right.
How do you extract character? Or information about character, rather.
Well, the first few seconds are very important. The few seconds in an interview. You can never change that. The first impression is over after the first few seconds. So we see how genuine the person is. If the person is acting or is actually his or herself. And then in the questions that we ask, we see how open and transparent and confident they are about their achievements and their career. And that says a lot about the emotional intelligence of the person. You may have a perfectly well-crafted resume, but really who did what and how it was done, that transpires in the interview.
But it becomes a very difficult process because over a period of half an hour or an hour, you might go to an hour and a half if there is an extractive process required. Some people are more reticent. Some people are more giving in the information. Some people are quite shy about their achievements and may be the ideal candidate for the job. How do you then go through sifting through the layers of complexity of character?
Well, we take up to 3 hours for interviews, so really take it seriously. We're paid for that.
You could do 4 or 5 hours, actually, if you get paid for it.
I went all the way to 7 hours. No,
really?
It does happen, yeah. Well, for the very critical roles, you do want to dig in and make sure that everything is as it is supposed to be.
Did the person who did the 7-hour interview, was that because you were uncertain and you really had to get information, or you liked them so much that you wanted to be absolutely sure? I mean, there's a differentiator.
No, we were not uncertain, but there were some parts of the career where we needed more precision.
Okay, so if I'm going through an interview with you for a CEO job and it goes past 3 hours, I've run out of time, have I? Is it necessarily a bad sign if I haven't sold myself in the first hour or two?
Well, certainly we will abridge it, we'll shorten it if we think you're not the right candidate.
No, absolutely. But the point, if it's too short, I'm out of there. If it goes too long, however, I'm not giving you enough in the interview. I'm trying to get some skills.
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. Actually, it adds richness, it adds depth to the interview and to the confidential report we eventually write for our client. So no, it's not a bad sign to stay long.
Give me some guidance, please. Because as the business school's not bothering to teach it, I'm relying on you.
And that's important. First of all, if you look at success in the corporate life, luck plays a big part to begin with. You're born or not born in a connected family. That really helps. Ambition and the need to want to change the world, the personal ambition and the identity that you have to want to go further. 100% of leaders or bosses want to become bosses. You know, it starts there. Physical health. It's a minor detail, but in the end you see people dropping off after the age of 40, the age of 50, and it really starts picking up later on. If you want to lead large organization, it really starts at 40, 50, 60. So physical health is important. Keep your health fit and be yourself. Don't try to act, don't try to play another person's role.
You will be exposed eventually.
You will be exposed eventually. By people like you.
Well, thank you. Ultimately, though, you're not doing yourself any favours if you think that you should be the next chief executive of General Electric and Xavier's been hired to assess me. If I'm the wrong person, I need to accept the fact that I'm the wrong person and go for company B. There's no disgrace in it.
Not at all. But that's emotional intelligence. You need to understand how you're perceived by others and how you behave yourself socially. So yeah, no. The best leaders typically have a high level of emotional intelligence. Or the power corrupts.
Oh, absolutely. Maybe we should talk about that another time. Xavier Leroy, he is the managing partner in South Africa of Egon Zehnder, giving you some tips that you haven't got at GIBS.